Who's in there? Go find him. Go.
How you going, guys? Kurtis from Cutting Edge Engineering. Today's job, we're getting back onto the rebuild of the Huron slotting attachment, and there has been a massive development. So we have actually got our hands on a second slotting attachment. After the video went up, I did have Clary from Butcher Machines reach out, and he was absolutely devastated of the condition of the attachment he sold us. He was in no way to know there was damage on the inside, but he did have a second one. It was in pretty bad condition, and it wasn't advertised for sale, but he did offer to send that to me free of charge to try and make one out of the two, or use it as spare parts. As you can see, this one doesn't look the greatest. It looks like it's been buried in the yard for the last couple of years. All the paint's flaking off, and there's a heap of grime build up on it. Something we found interesting is this attachment is a Huron green, and the first attachment was grey, which means it's probably a little bit older, and we confirmed that by checking the ID tag. The grey one is build number 116, where this one is build number 178, so it is 62 units newer. What I noticed straight away when I started to disassemble this, it doesn't look like it's ever been apart because there is still original paint in the bolt heads. After I removed the arbor, I was pleasantly surprised to see everything was intact, the dowels aren't broken, and there is no signs of damage, and after looking a little bit closer, there is no wear marks on it, so I'm going to say this wasn't used much at all. After removing the front cover, we got our first look of the inside of the head and the condition of the ram. Everything looks to be in really good shape. There is no rust in there, which means there was no moisture trapped within the head, but the ends don't look to be in good condition because they are exposed to the elements. And hopefully we'll be able to clean them up and we won't find any rust pitting or damage on the ram. But then it was the moment of truth. Was there any damage to the housing? And and we were very happy to discover there was no cracks and no damage at all. So far things are looking really positive. Now everything's disassembled, we're going to get it all into the hot wash and get it cleaned up. And now everything's cleaned up, we can see there is no rust damage on the ram. There is a little bit of staining there, but that's not going to cause any problems at all. The housing itself is in really good shape. You can still see all of the scraping marks where the ram slides. There aren't any polish spots there, so it's not wearing at all. The front cover is in good shape as well, there's nothing wrong with that. And all of the hardware is in good condition and there are no parts missing. None of the bolt heads are stripped out like the first attachment. And you might remember we were having trouble trying to find ball oilers. We did have a few generous viewers send some in. Unfortunately, none of those fit, but this one had all of them. None of them were damaged and they all work correctly. So based on all that, this is the one we are going to keep, but we are going to rebuild both of them. I don't want to see the first attachment go in the bin because they are very rare and hard to find. And hopefully if we can fix it, we can give it a new home. So before we can start rebuilding them, we need to repair the cracked housing off the first one. And that's what we're going to get onto now. So we do need to do a weld repair on the housing, but before we do that, we need to remove all of the damaged material. And to do that, I'm going to be using a carbide burr on a die grinder. As I'm removing that damaged material, I'm also doing a little bit of a weld prep, and that'll just give us a nice clean area for our filler material to bond onto. So that's the housing prepped, and we did get the results back from the material test, and it came back as a standard grey cast iron, which is what the majority of these things were made from back in the day. And that's good news for us because that means there are many different procedures and methods and filler materials we can use to repair this. And obviously we want this to be as successful and trouble-free as possible. What is working in our favour is this is not a structural repair. This is simply a stop shoulder to stop the arbor from contacting the ram. The only reason this was damaged in the first place is because the T-nut in the arbor was loose and it contacted the housing. So what that means is we can avoid using an electrode like a cast iron or high nickel rod, which could potentially make the part go rock hard and make it very difficult to machine. So what we've decided to use is silicon bronze. It is a much softer material and it means we don't have to put as much heat into the part, which should avoid us getting hard spots, making this much easier to machine. But we can't actually get our hands on any silicon bronze filler rods at the moment, so what we're going to be using is 0.9 silicon bronze MIG wire, and I'm going to twist two strands together to make a filler rod. And to weld this, we're going to be using our Unimig 200 amp AC DC TIG welder. I'm going to run this on AC, which is generally used for aluminium, but has proven to be very successful using silicon bronze on cast iron. And we're going to run that at about 90 amps. So the goal here is not to overheat and melt the cast iron, and then when we apply the silicon bronze, the metals mix together. Because the silicon bronze is a much softer material with a much lower melting temperature, all we want the arc of the TIG welder to do is melt the silicon bronze and then it mechanically attach and bond onto the cast iron. That way we can avoid putting too much heat into the part and creating hot spots. So I am having a little bit of difficulty with my DIY filler rod. It's not quite thick enough and it is a little bit flimsy. As I'm trying to add material into the weld pool, it is quite difficult to direct it where I need it, and I'm not able to feed it as fast as I'd like to. So that means it is taking a lot longer and I'm putting in a lot more heat than I want to, but we're just going to persist and see how we go. That is incredibly difficult. So we got our first base laid down and it all went pretty well considering we are welding cast iron and it is generally pretty dirty. But we do have a lot more welding to do and I don't want to keep persevering and struggling with my DIY filler rod. So while I let that cool down a little bit, I rung around our local suppliers and I did manage to find some 2.4mm filler rod. So I've picked that up and now we can continue. Why am I losing power?
Losing power.
Losing power.
going on here?
So after overcoming one problem with the filler material, I'm now having problems with my TIG welder. I seem to be losing amps as I'm welding. I'm having to increase them to keep the weld going. But considering it's over 12 years old and it is a cheap unit, I'm not surprised it's giving me trouble.
Something definitely wrong with that welder. Just lost all the heat.
What the hell?
So that's the first side welded. I'm not real happy with it, but that's going to have to do considering the issues I'm having with the welder. Now we can weld the other side, and that's a much smaller repair. Righto guys, so that's all the welding completed. I'm definitely not proud of that, but we're going to let that cool down and then we can machine it.
Good boy. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Go find him.
While we're waiting for the housing to cool down, I did take the cover off the TIG welder to see if there was anything obvious as to why it's playing up. And after having a quick look, we did find all of the power wires that run the interface, the on and off switch, and a few of the control boards. All of the terminals are burnt, which means something isn't regulating power correctly, and that's why we were having dramas with it. So I did contact our local welding repair shop. He did say it wasn't economical to repair this welder, so it looks like we're going to be replacing it with something a little bit better quality. But the housing's cooled down enough now, we're going to take it over to the mill and get it set up. Now we've got that clamped down, we're going to find center. And to bore this out, we're going to be using a 75mm adjustable boring head with a CCGT insert. So I've taken a clean up cut and I'm just going to advance the tool 1/2 mil at a time until we get closer to our finished size. So we're almost at our finished size, but I can feel just by hand I've only got about 0.1 of a mil to remove. This is not a critical measurement, so as long as I don't overcut the bore, it'll be okay. So I'm just going to advance the tool 0.1 of a mil. So I'm pretty happy with that. We've only just started cutting into the parent material behind the repair, so that finished cut was spot on. And on the other side we have revealed a porosity hole, but that is not going to be a problem at all because this is not a structural repair. Now with that done, we're just going to adjust the boring head out so we can cut the top face. Now with that face done, we need to cut the bottom face. Because we're basically working in a blind hole, it is going to be quite difficult to use the boring head in its current configuration. So what I'm going to do is use a tool extension and a boring bar in that to cut that face. It clears everything. Just a little bit more.
I'll like advance it out further.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Okay.
Righto guys, so that's our repair completed. I'm not 100% happy with it. There are a few areas that could have used a little bit more filler material, but it was still successful and we have saved this from going in the scrap bin, so I'm going to call that a win. So with that done, now we can move forward with completing the rebuild, but you'll have to stay tuned for that video. Thanks for watching.
Yep.
First video of the year. Right. So after removing the front cover, and you might remember we were having, hang on. Something we found interesting is this attachment is Huron green off. Something we found interesting, fuck me.
What is happening?
I don't know. So before we can start putting them back together, we need to repair the house, and we won't find any rust pitting in the ram. Fuck. So I've taken a clean up cut and so I did contact our local welder repair shop. Oh, fuck you fucking...
Off to a good start. Oh no. Did you break it?
Righto. Oh, fuck. Fuck me! So that's one side welded. Oh, fuck me, I've got them jumbled in my head now. Now we're going to move on to the other side. Now we can move over to the other side and do that, and oh, fuck me.
That's not making English.
Hang on, I'm fucking confused. So what am...
Oh.
Right. Hang on, start again. Nope.